Today, what I want to do is talk to you about 5 things that I do as a nature photographer that I believe will help you begin taking stunning photographs when you're out in nature. The very first thing that I do is I look for the right location. If you listen right now, you can tell I'm in a pretty good location for capturing pictures of monkeys. Those sound like monkeys, right? No, if you're a birder, then you know probably what that is. Though those things sound like monkeys, they're actually woodpeckers. And so there's just so many of them around. And so I'm in a good location right now for nature photography. The next thing that you want to do in your location is you want to see what the settings are like. You want to study the surroundings, and as you're capturing images of your main subject, you want to make sure that there's no distractions in the background, and if possible, you want to try to find a background that's going to create additional beauty in your images. So you want to check for colors. Colors is an important thing out in nature, not only in the background, but even in the foreground. As you're taking pictures of birds or bees or whatever your subject is, having the right colors in the foreground or background or both can really add a powerful dynamic. For example, earlier this week, I went out to capture some photographs in nature, and there were a lot of birds in the area. And as I was applying point 1, which is study the location in order to find the right spot, I found this very interesting log that had a lot of contrast and a powerful background setting for taking portraits of birds. And because I felt like this was a potentially good location for not only having a bird perch, but also to capture portraits of birds, I decided to camp out for about 30 minutes in order to see what type of birds might appear. Thankfully, I wouldn't be disappointed because the first bird to appear was this western bluebird. Not only do we have the sunlight shining brightly upon him in order to see the beautiful colors and details, but we have a very nice background in my opinion with the brownish tones from the tree trunk on the left and the greenery from the trees that are directly behind it. All of this combined together makes for a very colorful and aesthetically pleasing bird portrait. Not too long after the male western bluebird appeared, a female western bluebird came to strike a pose for me as well. I was hoping to get a family photo, but the two never perched together. But again, you can see that I am taking this image from another angle, and we have a blurred background with the tree trunk that is directly behind her. What I love most about this particular image is the fact that the colors from the grass and the sky to the left of the tree trunk almost match identically with the female western bluebird's colors. Again, the importance of looking for and using the colors of nature to help create a more powerful and stunning image can go a long way. The next bird that came to perch on the log was a black phoebe, and for this bird, I once again switched my location to attempt to use the background colors differently. For this image, you can once again clearly see that we have the sun shining brightly on the bird so that we can get a clear, sharp, and wonderfully detailed image of the bird. And for the background, we have the dark leaves hanging down off of one of the taller trees, as well as the blue skies. This also helped create a nice bokeh effect for the image as well. And though I'm really happy with this particular image, I continued working with the colors of the background in order to see what else I could come up with. And by moving a bit to the left of my current position, you can see that I found a beautiful setting for a bird portrait. The colors of the dark and light leaves, along with the beautiful blue skies, helped create a stunning bird portrait of this black phoebe.
As I continued on my hike, observing my surroundings and enjoying each moment at this nature preserve, I couldn't help but get caught up with the sounds of the birds, as well as the wind blowing through the trees and the fresh air I was able to breathe. There's just something very special about spending time in nature. One last thing I want to discuss in regards to getting the best possible colors out of your images is the importance of a tool that we as photographers have that can help us significantly when trying to capture images with the best possible colors. And that is the built-in white balance adjustment feature that comes with our digital cameras. In order to show you the difference that having the correct white balance can make in your images, I will use two different images of a squirrel that I captured while hiking. If you are like most people, your camera is probably set to AWB, which stands for Auto White Balance. The white balance adjustment on your camera is what compensates for different lighting conditions. It adjusts the color in your images so that they appear neutral, and there are several options available for you. For the following two photos of the squirrel, I took these images one after the other in order to show you the difference that this feature in your digital camera can make. The first image here was taken with my auto white balance on, and as you can see, even though it is tack sharp, the image has a kind of blue tone to it due to the fact that I used auto white balance. But because the squirrel was in the shade and underneath the tree, I changed my auto white balance setting to the shade setting, which brought a great deal of warmth as it adjusts the Kelvin level to about 7,000. And look at what a huge difference this made. Now, all of a sudden, the warm colors of the morning light are clearly coming out in the image and representing a much more accurate picture of what I was seeing that day. Now remember, these images have not been taken into post-processing yet. These came straight from my camera. But as you can see, when you get the white balance adjustment correct, it makes a huge difference on your images. And this will help with the colors you capture when you are out taking photographs in nature.
The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have good lighting. And so I would recommend coming out early in the day or in the late afternoon so that you can capture your images when the sun is lower and you've got the golden hour lighting to work with, and it just adds a beautiful tone to the images that you're taking, to the flowers, to the trees, and everything is just lit up better, and you're going to be much more pleased with the images you're capturing. The third thing that you want to make sure, this is important out in nature, is you want to have the correct camera settings. Now for me, I have two primary camera settings when I'm out in nature. I use shutter priority and I also use aperture priority. Now what I use shutter priority for is if I'm trying to capture birds in flight, or if I'm trying to, say, capture pictures of bumblebees going from flower to flower. If I want to have a tack sharp image and freeze motion, then I'm going to be in shutter priority, and I'm probably going to be at 1/1500th of a second to 1/2000, even 1/2500th of a second. But then I also use aperture priority, where I control the amount of focus in the distance or background blur. And what I'll use aperture priority for is if I'm taking pictures, say, of flowers, or if I'm trying to capture an image of a bird that is perched on a branch. What I'll do with a perched bird is I'll try to take as many photos as I can. If it's the right location and the background is beautiful, is I'll have my camera set in aperture priority and take a handful of shots of that, and then I'll switch it over into shutter priority with a fast shutter speed in the hopes of capturing it in flight. And so I'll go back and forth. It just depends. I'll try to get as many photos of that as I possibly can. Next is that you want to get close. You want to get close to your subject, especially if we're talking about birds and bees and other things like that. I mean, I could use my cell phone here, but I'm not going to get very close to the subject and create a compelling image. And so I'd encourage you, if you don't have a telephoto zoom lens, that's something you want to invest in, because they just make a world of difference in your photographs once you learn how to use them correctly. So getting up close is very important so that you can see the detail and just capture a whole nother dynamic and a whole nother aspect of whatever it is you're trying to photograph. It makes a huge difference. And lastly, and most importantly, is get the shot. What do I mean when I say get the shot? What I mean by get the shot is, I mean, if you find the right location, the right lighting, and the right place, and you have the right type of subjects that you want to photograph, do not leave until you get your shots. An example is, a couple days ago, I was out doing some nature photography, and I literally stayed in one location because I found a spot that was just beautiful. But in this place, the flowers were beautiful, the lighting was perfect, and the bumblebees were out. And I literally stayed there for an hour. I took over 1,200 shots of bumblebees in order to get the right shot. And I maybe came away with 20 that I just feel are great, and from there maybe 3 or 4 that are exceptional.
But the reason I took so many pictures is because the main goal for me in a situation like this is to take as many photographs as I can of bees in flight in order to hopefully capture a handful of them in focus and with the right background. You see, I know from personal experience that there is just no way that I'm going to nail every single shot of these bees, and that's why I take so many photographs. I end up having to delete a lot afterwards. However, I want to make sure that I give myself the best opportunity to take advantage of such a wonderful setting when I'm in nature like this. And so let me share with you how I take my images. I first focus in on a specific area of the landscape. In this case, a certain area of flowers. And then I look for bees that are nearby, and I try to lock in on the one I think might be coming my way. Then, as the bee begins flying over, I just shoot as many photographs of it as I possibly can. And I don't stop to look at any of the images until I have taken every possible photo of that bee while it's in the area. In this first image here, I was hoping to capture this bee right in the vicinity due to the fact that I could tell that the beautiful green, yellow, and orange colors in the background would help create a stunning image if I could get this bee in focus. And you can see that right away I was able to accomplish my goal. If this were the only image that I got out of the bunch, I would actually be very happy with it. It not only shows the image in clear focus, but the background colors of the orange and green and yellow along with a little bit of peach, it just makes for a beautiful photograph in nature. For my second image, I'm really happy with this beautiful soft feel that the background provides for it. I love how we can see the bee in action, as well as the pollen covering its face. And this is another reason why I can't encourage you enough, if you're able, to make sure you get a telephoto zoom lens, because it enables you to get close up to your subject so you can see amazing detail. Now, here in this next image, we see it has an entirely different feel than the other images, but I truly love it as well. There was one section in this area where there was a dark background, and so I also spent some time trying to capture the bees flying against this particular background as well, which in my opinion is very striking, and I'm very happy with how this image and some others turned out as well. So again, let me remind you, I was being purposeful to study the area, to study the background, to look for the different colors. And so I not only love the soft and colorful vibe that this area was giving, but I also love this particular look as it's very nice as well. And so I tried to capture as many images in this location that I could also. Well, let's look at some more of the images I captured now.
It's the same old story being told inside my head. I'm too shy to straighten up my bones and be a man. I gotta tear this wall apart to let you in. My friends say that time's running out, so take the chance. Make a move, 'cause the store won't stay open till the end. Won't you tear my world apart? 'Cause I know I need a start to let you in. When it's over, I will see what I've done. Letting go too soon. Oh, I'd be stronger if you just step right in. 'Cause I need a start to let you in. Days pass and I'm still the same inside my head. And I can't stop thinking about what you said. I gotta tear my wall apart. And it's the only way to start to let you in. When it's over, I will see what I've done. Letting go too soon. Oh, I'd be stronger if you just step right in. 'Cause I need a start to let you in.
I stayed there because I wanted to get the shot. I wanted to make sure I had enough opportunities to capture the right image. And so when you have the opportunity to wait until you get the shot, I mean, just go for it and keep taking shots, because you don't always have the right conditions, nor do you always have the right lighting, nor do you, are you going to have the right subjects in place. And so when that all clicks, I want to encourage you stay there until you get your shot, because it's well worth it. Well, those are the 5 things that I would encourage you to begin trying in nature photography, because for me as a nature photographer, those are the things that help me capture exceptional images. I want to thank you for joining me this week and hope to see you again next week. But until then, you go out and capture the world.